Okay, let's dive into this. Every time you buy a coffee or grab a new smartphone, you're actually participating in this massive, invisible mathematical equation. Today, we're going to unpack a really fundamental concept: how a giant, industry-wide market curve is actually built from the ground up. We often look at these sweeping market trends, and we tend to think of them as these monolithic forces, right? But the truth is, a market is really just an aggregate collection of individual behaviors. So by the end of this explainer, you're going to see exactly how individual decisions mathematically and visually stack together to create the entire market supply curve. It's like assembling a giant architectural blueprint, and we're going to build it piece by piece. Here's the roadmap for our build today. We'll start with the microeconomic building blocks, map out some individual supply data, and plot those initial curves. From there, we'll use horizontal summation to derive the final market curve, and then wrap up with a really fascinating concept called the reserve price anchor. Section 1. The microeconomic building blocks. Let's look at the individual components. Before we look at the raw data, we need to establish exactly what we're trying to construct. The market supply curve is defined as the curve showing various quantities of a commodity which all producers will produce and sell at different prices. I want you to notice the key phrase there: all producers. We are zooming all the way out from just one factory or one farmer to represent the combined willingness of literally every single producer in the market at any given price point. Section 2. Mapping individual supply data. Let's move to and see how this builds using our raw materials. To really anchor these abstract concepts, let's look at a concrete schedule. Imagine a simplified market with just two producers, Firm A and Firm B. Take a look at that first row, where the price is set at 10 rupees. At this specific price, Firm A is willing to supply 500 kilograms. Now, Firm B, maybe they're operating with slightly different tech or higher costs. They're only willing to supply 400 kilograms. The market supply is just the sum of those two, 900 kilograms. And as you scan down, you see the law of supply perfectly in action. As the price bumps up to 15 and then 20, both firms naturally increase their output, which obviously drives the total market supply up right along with it. Section 3. Plotting the individual curves, visualizing Firm A and Firm B. Okay, shifting over to our digital workspace, direct your eyes to the left and middle panels. In panel 1 on the left, we've plotted Firm A's upward sloping supply curve, which we're labeling SSA. At the price of OP1, which represents our 10 rupees, they supply the line segment P1A1, which is that 500 kilograms. Right next to it, in panel 2, is Firm B with their own curve SSB. At that exact same price, OP1, they supply segment P1A2, or 400 kilograms. Both of these curves slope upward, right? That shows the positive relationship between price and quantity, but they each have their own unique coordinates based on their individual production capabilities. Section 4. The horizontal summation process. Let's look at the assembly technique. Now, to merge these panels together, we use a critical assembly technique called horizontal summation. This is the process of adding individual supply curves together horizontally. Now, you might be wondering why horizontally. Well, think about how our axes are laid out. The vertical axis is price. The market price is a constant condition that both Firm A and Firm B are facing at the exact same time. We don't add the prices together. Instead, at any given vertical price level, we just look across horizontally to see how much quantity each firm is producing, and we accumulate those horizontal quantities. Let's walk through the precise math of this horizontal summation at that 10 rupee mark calmly and methodically, kind of like a step-by-step puzzle. Step 1, hold the price steady at OP1, or 10 rupees. Step 2, take Firm A's supplied segment, P1A1, which is 500 kilograms. Step 3, take Firm B's segment, P1A2, which is 400 kilograms. Step 4, add those line segments sideways. 500 plus 400 gives us a market total of 900 kilograms. And there we go, that is our very first coordinated point for the entire market. And we just repeat that exact same horizontal adding process further up the axis. If we look at price OP2, or 20 rupees, Firm A supplies segment P2B1, which is 1,600 kilograms. Firm B supplies segment P2B2, which is 1,100 kilograms. 1,600 plus 1,100 equals 2,700. We are literally just taking these horizontal line segments and adding their lengths together to find our grand market total. Section 5. Deriving the market curve. The final edifice. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these individual components perfectly yield our final result. Guide your eyes purely to that third panel on the right. This is our derived market supply curve, labeled SSM. Look at point A. At price OP1, our horizontally summed combined quantity is 900 kilograms. Higher up at point B, at price OP2, our combined quantity is 2,700 kilograms. By simply joining point A and point B, we trace out the final market supply curve, SSM. It behaves exactly like an individual curve. It still slopes upward because of that profit incentive, but it visually captures the total productive capacity of every firm in the industry, all added together. Section 6. The reserve price anchor. Let's see what happens when the floor drops out. So we have a boundary condition twist here. Look back at our data. At 10 rupees, the market happily supplies 900 kilograms, but below 10 rupees, they supply absolutely nothing. There is a dramatic cliff edge in this supply schedule. If the price plunges below that 10 rupee mark, sellers flat out refuse to offer any goods. It doesn't cover their basic costs, so production just entirely stops. So the crucial point is this concept of the reserve price. The reserve price is defined as the minimum price below which a seller will not offer their goods for sale. You can really think of it as the ultimate anchor and the absolute floor for our entire graphical model. The market supply curve doesn't just infinitely stretch down to zero price and zero quantity. It hits a hard, immovable stop at the reserve price. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. We know exactly how a market aggregates supply when prices are healthy. But if severe market forces push prices below absolutely everyone's reserve price, does the entire industry just completely pause? It's a stark reminder that while these curves look nice and smooth on a graph, they are ultimately bound by the brutal realities of survival. The next time you see a massive price drop in a store, maybe ask yourself just how close they are to hitting that floor. Keep analyzing the structures around you, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.